what is personal branding?
Jeff Bezos explains that it is what people speak about you when you are not in the room. It is about how you make the other person feel.
I think that's why people say that people don't buy the product, they buy you.
They have a perception in the mind of you and they're dealing with you basis what they think about you. So you're already a brand. Every human being needs personal brand.
Let's take an example of a housewife. She's not going to her work. Why would she need personal branding?
Is her opinion of what she is suggesting valued or not is entirely dependent on what people think of that people. We always associate personal branding to marketing only. When you're talking about human being and perceptions, it is a reality for everyone, including a housewife.
How one can create their own personal branding so that they can relate to their partner. Sat Shri Akal, Harbinder Nirola. Welcome to Miles to Million Punjabi.
Thank you so much for having me.
Amazing. So, we all know that you worked with branded corporate companies. You've worked with Google, you worked with YouTube. How was that experience and the switch that you made from corporate job to an entrepreneur, especially in personal branding?
So, Karanji, thank you so much for inviting me to your show. Uh, I spent a lot of time with the corporates, and it was a fantastic experience because working with uh, corporate organizations and working on your own, and then getting back to the corporate world, it's a different ball game because the kind of experience that you have and the responsibilities that you share when you work with an organization, uh, when you turn into an entrepreneur, there's a complete transition that happens because you are responsible for more than what you are being hired for.
Absolutely.
Uh, and I feel that everyone should become an entrepreneur once in their life uh, to understand what really the responsibility of running a business is, and you are able to better understand your employer as well, his mindset, and what is it that they are trying to do beyond just one task or one role that you're playing in that organization. And of course, personal branding is something that I stumbled upon. I call myself an accidental personal branding specialist, and I spend a lot of time in trying to understand, learn personal branding from other people's experiences, and it is now helping me in my current role, which is much more than personal branding. But personal branding is a very uh, important aspect of what I do today.
Just give us a little idea in a nutshell what is personal branding and why everyone should utilize that tool, whether you're an employee providing any service, any product. What's so what's what is it about?
So, let me just explain to you what is branding first.
Okay.
What I've understood is that branding is a promise that you establish in the minds of your target audience, which compels them to come and interact and engage with you. So, when it is a product, it creates a sense of expectation in the minds of a person, a buyer, which compels him to come buy that product with a confidence or with emotions that he relates with that particular product. Similarly, when it comes to organizations, there's a brand that is associated with what that organization stands for. What are the value systems that they have inherent in the way they operate, in the way they engage. So it creates a very clear understanding of what people could expect when they would engage with that organization. Could be as a vendor, could be as a client, could be as an potential employer. But then, similar thing happens when it's called human branding. When you engage with people, you have a certain expectation of what you could expect to feel when you engage with that person. That in my mind is what the person's brand is, and what is that is what we call personal branding. I mean, there's a lot of, we either meet a person with a and we have very high trust, or when we are engaging with someone with an element of distrust, and where you become very cautious while interacting or dealing with that person. So that's the brand of that person in your mind, which creates what to expect when you are dealing with that person. So that for me is personal branding. And as one of the uh, you know Jeff Bezos explains, that it is what people speak about you when you are not in the room.
So, can you give us an example of personal branding? Uh, let's say I'm doing content creation, right? I'm into content creation business. So, what is personal branding for someone who is in content creation business?
Whether the person is into content creation business, or the person is a doctor, or could be a chartered accountant, or could be an engineer, could be an employer, an employee, I'll give you a small example. It is not related to content creation, but you will be able to derive from there. Imagine yourself to be in a hyperstore, hypermarket, right? And you are one of the customers, and or you are one of the employees there, and your manager, for small error of one of your colleagues, starts shouting at that colleague of yours, and you're just looking at that conversation going on. What is it that you create in your mind about your manager and that employee is what personal branding is. So now imagine you're creating a perception of how your manager would respond in case of a certain situation. So next time when you deal with your manager, you will have that thing at the back of your mind. And that's the perception that you have created in the mind. And next time you engage with that person, you'll be judging that person and finding that judgment to be a reality, that, this guy is somebody who's uh, always very angry. He's, he reacts to small errors, or he does not know his job, he's not a kind person, right? Or for that matter, about your colleague who was reprimanded, you might say that, this guy maybe does not know his job well. He's just a trainee. He's not understanding the need of the organization. So very quickly we start creating perceptions in the minds of our minds about people based on how they are behaving, what they speak, how they are engaging with other people around you, right? And these perceptions very subtly turn into reality in your mind. You start believing this to be a reality, and you will keep that in mind. So, for example, as a content creator, you and I have had a conversation before as to what to expect on this podcast, right? And the way you spoke with me, the way you engaged with me, I created some perception about you, that is Karan an intelligent person. Karan is somebody who is very receptive to new ideas. She is a good listener. She's very soft spoken, right? So these are perceptions that I have created about you
Hmm.
before I come onto that podcast. And when I deal with you now here, it is an outcome of what I think about you.
So, it's all about what kind of perception you've left for a viewer or for a customer, depending on product, service, or how to interact with them.
Absolutely. It is about how you make the other person feel.
Hmm.
And I'd love to share with you here that, when I speak about personal branding to a lot of people, they sometimes believe that personal branding is uh, social media marketing, you know
I thought the
doing a
same
lot
thing.
of, yeah, PR. uh, but what I believe in, and what I tell all those people that I interact with, that these are all tools to help you become a brand. Because of the visibility on social media, or because of what visibility you have created in the industry, because of a lot of PR exercise that you may be doing, people will be wanting to come and engage with you. They'll be wanting to come and meet you, right? And they will have an expectation in their mind about you, based on what they have seen, based on the videos that they've seen about you, based on what they have heard from the media, right? But when they actually come and meet you, how you make them feel will decide whether they think that what they had heard and what the reality is the same or not, right? And that impression is a permanent impression in the minds of people about you, because that's the real experience that they have of how they felt when they met you, right? That to me is personal branding.
I think that's why people say it. They don't. People don't buy the product; they buy you.
Absolutely, absolutely. When anybody is investing in your business, they invest in what they think about you and your abilities, your attitude, your aptitude, and they form an impression which gives them either the comfort to go ahead with you, or if they feel that there is some kind of a discomfort, which sometimes we call it a sixth sense, they refrain from engaging with you, so they pull back.
So you've been in personal branding for a decade now, correct? And is there any gap that you see? Like, what is the thing that people cannot connect and understand, that what is personal branding, and they perceive in a wrong way, and then they change the brand, so that they're not able to connect with their customers.
See, it's not only with their customers. I would say that it is target audience,
Of
you know,
course.
and what I would want to share with everyone who's listening to this conversation or watching this conversation is that we must understand that all of us are already a brand in the minds of people around us. Your friends have an opinion of you. The people who engage with you for work have created or formed a perception about you in their minds. The people who you sell to or you buy from, they have a perception in the mind of you, and they're dealing with you basis what they think about you. So you're already a brand. Now the challenge is that people will always have an opinion of you whether they have met you or not. We do not even realize, you know, because I've seen your videos on social media. I've never met you, but I will still have an opinion that I've created based on what I've seen,
And what comments I get also.
right? So isn't that unfair? But the reality is, Karan, that if we wish for people to believe who we really are, then it is our responsibility to help them understand us, right?
Okay.
They are watching what we are saying or putting across on social media. They are listening to what other people are saying about us, right? But we have missed upon us telling them about who we are. So, what is missing, since you asked me what is the missing thing, is the cautiousness and mindfulness of taking that responsibility and understanding that whatever I say, whatever I do, whatever I post on social media, whatever impression is created, is going to create a perception in the minds of people. So, whatever I do, if I do it cautiously, keeping in mind that, listen, I want people to understand that this is who I am, that means my actions and my words should be in line with what I want them to understand about me. And because we are not cautious and mindful about it, we miss that. And we allow people to think whatever they wish to think about us based on whatever they are seeing and whatever they are hearing about us.
We only care about stats and numbers.
Absolutely, absolutely. If you have to, kind of care about numbers, right? Then you have to understand that how many people are coming and engaging with you and going back having the opinion that you really wish for them to have about you. So bring in consciousness, bring in mindfulness. That's what I can say, and that's a missing part. Every human being needs personal branding, whether they like it or not, whether they are aware of it or not, whether it's consciously or subconsciously. Each one of us is a personal brand or needs to be a personal brand.
So, since you said that like everyone needs personal branding, let's take an example of a housewife, right? She's not going to a work. She is a stay-at-home mom. She is raising her kids, doing housework. Why would she need personal branding? For what purpose?
I'm so glad that you brought this up, Karan, because I think when I say everyone needs a personal branding, housewife does need to have a personal brand because I think it's the most devalued work that is there. It's the most important yet the most devalued work of a housewife, right? But if you look at a husband and wife, you know, or somebody having an extended family and they want to do some uh, there's a family function that is happening, there's a wedding happening in the family. What kind of gifts should we be giving? What kind of functions should we be doing? Is the lady of the house getting consulted on this? Is her opinion of what she is suggesting valued or not? Is entirely dependent on what people think of that lady, right? Has she demonstrated in the past certain actions, certain suggestions that make people believe that this woman has a lot of wisdom? We must listen to what she's saying. There's a value in what she's proposing, right? That's the brand in the minds of people, whether they would listen to her or not, whether they would take what she says seriously or not. So that's the importance of a personal brand. So personal brands, sometimes we make two mistakes when we are talking of personal branding. One, we always associate personal branding to marketing only. And when we think of marketing, we are talking of companies, professionals, products. But when you're talking about human being and we are talking of perceptions, it is a reality for everyone, including a housewife, right? Second thing is that we feel that somebody who is not a professional, somebody is not contributing to business or work or is not bringing in money, right, has no value. But you don't realize they are the ones who are actually keeping the family bound, right? And their wisdom, their intelligence is either creating a happy family or a family with a lot of discards, right? So they need to be a very strong personal brand for them to be understood and be valued in the minds of. They always say that behind a successful man there is a woman, right? There's a reason because it's her wisdom which is bringing sanity to the life of a man who could be very very professional oriented. His mindset is based on the external relationships, right? So that's where it becomes extremely important for a housewife to be valued and seen in the right light.
One more thing that I like to say over here is when it comes to personal branding, we forget to interact with our target audience, right? And it's important um, to get their perspective of what they think of us as a brand, and also for us to know their voices matter as well. So it's really important to interact with them because they create the brand, they create us, and we forget the main part of our target audience.
So, Karan, there are two R's that become very important here.
Okay.
One is relevancy, and the second is relatability,
Okay.
right? And both start with trying to understand who you want to interact with, who matters to you. I keep talking of that, you have to surround yourself with like-minded people, right? So if you are, let's take a business scenario. If you're looking at a certain set of clients, you know, let me give you an example. And so it may sound very materialistic, but it's very, very real. Imagine you bought a new house, you want to hire a interior designer to come in and do up your place, right? Would you pick up somebody who is like you financially, socially, at the same level? Or would you get a carpenter to start coming and designing your house?
Someone's on my level.
Yeah, somebody at your level. Why would that be? Because somebody at your level will understand your lifestyle, will have
Right.
a similar thought process, right? They will understand your style, their, what is it that is important to you. Because somebody who's not at your level will say that, why do you want to spend money on this when you can get something else at this option, right? So there's a theory of relativity that comes in, because what is expensive to you could be cheap for someone else, right?
Absolutely right.
So similarly, when you are dealing with your clients, you need to be like them to be liked by them, right? So if you are like-minded, they will feel comfortable. Okay, you know what, Harbinder understands me, he understands my taste, he will be able to suggest something that I would like, right? Because there's a lot of faith, confidence that will come in whenever you're doing work, interacting for business. Now that's from the business point of view. Second is, in your personal life, there are hundreds of people who you engage with every day. You go to school, you go to college, you go to work, you are dealing with a shopkeeper, you are dealing with a plumber, you're dealing with your interior designer, you're dealing with your parents, you're dealing with your siblings. There are hundreds of people who are dealing with you.
Dealing with their
But you
husband.
need to dealing with your husband, right? But the thing is that you have to realize who matters to you. Who do you really want to be understood by, right? So understand them, that who really matters, and let's understand what is it that is about me that they will like, right? And I'm not suggesting that you try and create an inauthenticity in who you are. I'm not telling you that you go personify someone else. You have to be authentic, but
Absolutely.
you have to be able to bring in that consciousness that, okay, you know what, I do not want this person to misunderstand me. I don't care if the world does not understand me, but these are the five people I want them to understand me, where I'm coming from, right? So you have to figure out who's important to you, who matters to you, right? And sometimes we get so involved in trying to personify and be looking good to the people that we really want to connect with, that we forget
To connect with us.
them, understand them as well. So unless you know who your target audience is, what is it that they like, what is it that they do not like, right? You will not be able to create that authentic connection with them. Which is why sometimes when you're dating, you're trying to be the right guy or a right girl, and you connect with people at a very inauthentic level. And that is when the breakdowns happen later, right? When the reality sets in. Because you have been misunderstood or you have misunderstood the other person. So, authenticity is the key fundamental to what you are doing. And that will happen only when you also understand your target audience. One is who they are, where are they? I mean, if you come back to the marketing question as to, is Facebook important to me or Instagram? Should I be on Twitter? Should I be on LinkedIn? Because these are tools to help you build your visibility and your brand. The question is, which one do you want to focus on? Simple answer: where is my target audience? Who is my target audience and where are they? Right?
Mm.
And what is it that they are doing there? And am I in line with what kind of people they want to deal with? Right?
Mhm.
So unless you, I mean, imagine you don't know the client that you want to get. You do not know what is his lifestyle, where it comes from, what is it that they value. Then you may be talking something which is very irrelevant to them, right? So you have to be relevant and relatable to them. And the reason I say relatable is because at the end of the day, personal brand is an outcome of conversations and communication,
Right.
right? If you are not your conversation is not relatable to them, they don't understand what you're saying, or you've not been able to articulate in a manner that it will be understood by the other person, then again the connect will never happen, and you'll not be able to create the impression that you really wish to create in the minds of the other people.
I think we talked a lot about creating personal branding in a business sense. Let's talk about life. How one can create their own personal branding so that they can relate to the society, to their friends, and especially to their partner.
That's a brilliant question, because since we are talking of human branding, we're talking of personal branding, it's all about relationships. It's so I keep saying this, and I don't mind reiterating that your personal branding is entirely dependent on how you make people feel when they come and meet you, when they come and engage with you, right? Some people enjoy being with you, and some people feel uncomfortable with you being in the room, right? Imagine a person who's worked 40, 50 years and suddenly retires and starts sitting at home, right? How is he or she being understood by the spouse and the kids? Because people have enjoyed their freedom. There's a perception that they have in their own mind about you. How do they relate to you? Have you been a strict father? Have you been with them? Do they think you care about them? And do you think they care about you? At the end of everything is how you feel and how you make people feel, right? Whether you are in a work environment, whether you are in a relationship, even a school kid, when he goes to school, the teacher will have an impression, whether she likes it or not, about all the children sitting in the class. She might think of this one boy who's brilliant, he's very intelligent, right? And she may have a perception of another child, saying that, he seems like not so intelligent. And this could well be coming up only because that child is not very talkative, he's not very responsive, right? That child may be very intelligent child, but just because he's not very active in responding in the class, the perception that is getting created in the mind of the teacher is that, okay, this child is not as intelligent as everyone else. And when she's teaching, when she's scoring the grades, this perception in her mind will play a role. Who she wants to choose for an activity in the class will be based on what she thinks of the children who are there, right? So in life, personal branding plays a very very important role, and which is why I say that there's a positive as well as a negative connotation. Some people are very very smart, by establishing or personifying someone or something that they are not. They're smart enough to portray an image that, okay, I'm very intelligent, I'm the best person for this job, or I'm the best person for you. But when you start dealing with people, that is when, like an onion,
The layer comes out.
the it starts unpeeling and the layer keeps coming out, right? And that happens in marriage as well. When you get married, unless you have dated or been together for many many years, there are so many unexplored, unknown things about your spouse that you discover over a period of time, right? And that is because unknowingly we have been trying to cover ourselves and trying to be seen as good just because we want other people to acknowledge us without being authentic, right? And then gradually in life you start saying that, listen, enough of it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what I wear. It doesn't matter if somebody calls me, doesn't call me. I am going to be who I am, right? So there will be times in your life that you will bring in authenticity in what you are doing. But the question is, were you mindful about it when people were perceiving you wrong? I'll give you a small example, Karan. We always have, I mean, we Indians love Bollywood actors. We are very emotional about it. I went and watched a movie in a theater recently, and when Shah Rukh Khan came on the screen, people were shouting, they was whistling and everything. I know of people who, when they go to Mumbai, they go and just want to go stand outside Shah Rukh Khan's house, right? Or their favorite actor's house. There's no specific name, but they have their own favorites. And when they go to a restaurant and they find their favorite actor there, they are, they feel like going and saying hello to them, getting an autograph. Now, the way the actor responds and reacts, right, can define whether you still like that actor or not. And these people also are human beings. They want their private time. They don't want to be disturbed. But how they will respond to saying no to you will entirely decide what people go back with an image of. Either they will say that, what, he's so nice, I went to him, even though he was eating food, he wanted his private time, he took a moment to allow me to take a selfie and then told me that, he wanted his private time. And while somebody else who may have responded differently and said, listen, it's my private time, please do not disturb me, I do not like to be disturbed, right? What will that fan go back with? Say, boss, he's such a crappy guy, I never thought he was like this, right? Which is what I say, that the impression that you carry in your mind based on what you've heard and what you've seen on the screen is still can be changed, can be altered. But the personal experience of how you felt when you met that person will define the impression, which is going to be a permanent one.
This is great. I mean, we talk about all this stuff, but we never ever talk in a way that from seeing in a different perspective. You know, we all, especially in like personal lives, people talk about, okay, let's do this. You gotta make impression on that person. Do this. You gotta make impression on your boss, on your CEO.
Mhm.
But we haven't recognized, in a sense, that in a 360-degree overview, that you're not just doing it for that moment. You're not just doing it for the race. You're not just doing it um, to be liked by someone in the household or in your life. You're doing it for a lifelong, permanent impression that you leave on them.
Correct. One more thing, I want to bring up because since we're talking of personal branding, and when I said that marketing and personal branding are very, very different, marketing is just a tool to help you build a personal brand. A lot of people also mistake it as how you need to dress, how you need to appear, you know. So, people who are authentic will not bother about this because they're trying to create an emotional connect with people. They're either trusted, they're either heard, or they're either valued, right? And they build legacies. It is an impression that Nelson Mandela created in the minds of people. It is what people think of Mahatma Gandhi, right? They were not the best dressed people, but they stood for their value systems, they stood for their opinions. And I'm not saying that their opinions are right or wrong, but they had an opinion. And people related to what their belief systems are, what their opinions are. It's not necessarily the best dressed person who's the biggest brand. It is the value systems with which they work.
You said it 1000% correct. This is the ideology that my husband and I we both believe in. So like we like we don't like to like wear like branded or like flashy clothes. Um like even when we go out on dates, we simply go on like shorts and that's it, and like t-shirts and that's it, right? We don't like perceive that okay, every date night we have to go and then look at the best. Like there are some times we both are busy and then we just plan on last minute. We just go out and then wear whatever clothes that is feasible and available to
Yeah.
us. But we are not like recognized, or we don't have that perception that, oh, okay, what that person's gonna talk about me, or what that person's gonna think about me. Even if they are, I don't give a damn. you know
So, Karan, there's a dichotomy to this. So, this is extremely important because, like I said earlier, that you want to create an impression or be seen in a particular way, and by whom? By the people who really matter to you, and you don't care about everyone else. But every situation is different, and every person is different, every role is different. Now, the role that you have as a spouse to your husband is beyond inauthenticity of what you should wear and what brands you are using or not. But when you're going out for business,
right.
you know,
That's a different situation.
when you, I'll give you a small example. When I was working in the corporate, when you're going and meeting a CEO of an XYZ corporation, what car you go driving in, or what kind of a clothes are you wearing, whether you should be wearing a jacket, suit, or not, will define how you will be perceived because a person does not know you
Right.
until they've met you, right? And like I said, you have to be likable, you have to be like them to be liked by them, right? So people have to, if that business deal is extremely important to you, you want to be trusted. So imagine there's a reason why bankers wear suits and ties, because they want to be seen as people who are who have an eye for detail, right? So the question is not about dressing formally or informally, wearing branded clothes or not wearing branded clothes. It's about dressing appropriately,
You're right.
right? So while you are absolutely casual and friendly with your spouse, but when you meet a formal business person, you may not go that way,
Right. No, you're right.
right? So you will dress appropriately because when you dress, either overdress or underdress, it could mean that you don't value the people that you are meeting. Imagine you go in shorts and t-shirt to a wedding of your cousin.
Yeah.
You will not be appreciated because it'll be that this lady does not even, she's just come like that. She should have been well dressed. She's my sister. What will people think? You know, so you have to be appropriately dressed. Or if there's a bunch of college kids that you are addressing and you wear a three-piece suit with a tie, they will be overwhelmed and they will not open up to you. So you have to make people comfortable and step into their shoes, right? And that becomes important. That's the appropriateness of dressing.
So we've talked about what is personal branding. We've talked about how we can perceive personal branding in business and in personal life, and a lasting impression on the viewers, on our target audience. But let's just talk about how we can create a personal branding in business, especially when creating a new business, and also in personal life for someone who doesn't even know that they need to create a personal branding in their life also.
First is to accept that you need to build a brand. Acceptance will lead you to action. If you don't believe that you need to build a brand, you will never do anything about it, right? So first is to acknowledge and accept, and that is when you will act. So these are the three A's that come into being. Bring in consciousness, and there's a model that I talk about. It's V plus C is equal to G. You need visibility. First is you need to be discoverable. If you are doing business, you need to create visibility for your business and what you offer. It's only when people know of you will they connect with you, right? And when they are connecting with you or engaging with you on social media as well, what is important is what do you upload on social media. So
Hmm.
what you upload on social media is whatever helps you build credibility. So you need to be known for what you are best at, right? So when you get discovered, when people are searching for something that you do, and then by watching whatever is placed in front of them, they get the confidence that you are the right person to do what they're expecting. That is when they will give you business or engage with you. And that is when the G comes in, which is the growth, right? So visibility plus credibility leads you to growth, right? Second thing, something that I would like to share with your audience is that we start at trust and we feel that if people trust us, then our business is going to grow. I feel that trust is just a starting or the beginning. That trust has to gradually move into becoming faith. So imagine you go to a jeweler and your mother or your aunt or your friend, your neighbor has suggested that, what, I go to this jeweler, you can go to them, you can give my reference, and he will give you the best price. He'll make sure that you're getting the pure gold and everything. And we start. So we go to this jeweler with a lot of trust that we will get what we want and we will not be cheated, right? Now imagine in first two transactions, you got what you wanted. You were confident about the quality of gold that you got, and you are confident that you got it at the best price, lower than what anybody else was selling. Over these two transactions, you start having faith on this guy. So now you don't need reference of anyone else. You are going to that person, and this time you will not ask for that. Listen, I want this. Can you give me the best price and the best quality? You will go this time with saying that, listen, I want to invest some money in jewelry. Can you guide me whether I should buy gold or whether I should be buying diamonds? Right? You see the conversation changing where you went there hoping to get what you want with full trust. But now faith has turned where The person has become, the jeweler has become an influencer for you. He's telling you what you should be buying, right? Would you, as a business person, not want to be an influencer where people come with faith and they rely on what they should be buying? Same thing happens in relationships on the personal side. When that trust moves into faith, then no one can break that trust. No, even if somebody comes and tells you about something about your husband, you will say, "Boss, let people say what they want to say. I know what is the reality." Right? So that is how you build a personal brand. It's a very simple process. The only thing is, in absence of consciousness, we miss out on this.